Hello, good morning everyone, and welcome to this week's live trading session. As usual, this session gives you the opportunity to ask as many questions as you want regarding the markets, trading, and any issues you have. As usual, if you have any questions, do click the hand button on your control panel or send your questions or comments through the question box on your control panel. I will take the questions after we've analyzed the euro US dollar. Of course, once we've analyzed the euro US dollar, if there are any other markets you want me to have a look at, again, do let me know by clicking the hand button or sending your request through the question box on your control panel. As you all know, we're going to start the 2 weeks live trading session next week, Monday. The invitations were sent out last week for the morning, afternoon, and evening sessions. They'll be sent out again today. Do register for all sessions. Do register for all the sessions, all the morning, afternoon, and evening sessions. But obviously, just attend the sessions you can attend. And like I said, they'll all be recorded, and you'll be sent a recording or a link to watch the recording of all the sessions in case you missed them. But do register for all the sessions. And most importantly, do check your spam email. Sometimes the invitations go to your spam email or the email with the webinar recording link might go to your spam email. So over the 2 weeks, or in fact, not only the 2 weeks, but on a regular basis, do check your spam email for the invitations or the recordings. Okay, so let's kick off. As usual, the main market we're looking at is the euro US dollar. And we'll start off according to the plan by looking at the economic calendar. So looking at the economic calendar, of course, these are all GMT plus 1 times. So wherever you are in the world, make sure you're using the correct time zone. Obviously, I'm in Nigeria at the moment, so I'm using the GMT plus 1 time. Interestingly, while we'll be doing the 2 weeks live trading session, I'll be in Rwanda, so I'll be using the GMT plus 2 time at the when we're having the session. So always make sure that when you're checking your calendar, make sure you adjust the time to your own time zone. So today's Tuesday, the 13th of February. We're looking for reports of high importance and medium importance that could affect the euro or the US dollar. So let's have a look. So we can see straight away at 10:30 this morning we have the UK Consumer Price Index. That's a report out of the UK. Of course, the Consumer Price Index report is a report of extremely high importance. And the UK being the financial capital of the world, that could have an impact on other markets. Of course, that would have a huge impact on currencies paired with the pound and the FTSE, the UK stock market. But again, like I said earlier, because the UK is the financial capital of the world, that could also have an indirect impact on other currencies and other stock markets. So there's a high chance of all markets trending sideways prior till 10:30. Let's have a look if there's anything else coming out later on. And that's it. So there's not much coming out today, report-wise. So we're good to go. So like I said, because of this report at 10:30, the UK Consumer Price Index, although we're trading the euro US dollar, and this is a report out of the UK, but because it's the UK Consumer Price Index report, it could have an impact on the dollar and the euro indirectly. So it'd be a good idea to avoid trading prior till 10:30. Of course, it's always good to have a look at the rest of the week. I sent out the financial assessment for the week yesterday, but it's always good to have a look at the rest of the week because that could impact your trading. And like I said, when I sent out the email yesterday, we have quite a lot of reports of high importance coming out tomorrow. So tomorrow, Valentine's Day, there are a lot of reports coming out tomorrow of high importance. You have the Japan GDP report. Always remember the 4 reports that are always of high importance. The 4 reports that are always of high importance are the gross domestic product, GDP, consumer price index, CPI, interest rate decision, and unemployment rate. Those 4 reports are always of mega importance. And like I said, tomorrow, Wednesday, we have, the Japan GDP, the German GDP, the Eurozone GDP. Of course, the Eurozone is going to have a direct impact on the Euro-US dollar, and then the US Consumer Price Index. So again, that's why it's good to sometimes check the rest of the week and see what's coming out, because even today, although we just have the UK Consumer Price Index report coming out, because there's so many reports of high importance coming out tomorrow, there's always a chance the market could just trend sideways for the rest of today. So in view of all those reports coming out tomorrow, I'll probably just have one attempt at the market today. According to my trading plan, I tend to have 3 goals at having a successful trade. So I tend to have 3 attempts at having a successful trade. But today, in view of all those reports of high importance coming out tomorrow, I will just have one attempt at the market today. And then that one attempt will be just before 10:30. So just before 10:30, I'll be placing my pending orders just before 10:30, and then just have one attempt at the market in view of all those reports coming out tomorrow. Okay, so that's the plan for today. Just going to avoid trading till just before 10:30. Again, don't forget to keep an eye on the financial news. Like I said, the website I use to keep an eye on the financial news is the Market Watch website. That's updated every couple of seconds. Of course, there's a sort of calamities going on in the stock market. So there's a bit of the stock market has just been jumping up and down. So if you're trading the stock market, then yes, there's a lot to be watchful of and to keep an eye on. But that's for the stock market, not the currency market. But again, do keep an eye on the financial news. So let's have a look at the charts in preparation for later on. Okay, so this is the Euro-US dollar. So we'll just show so that's the Euro-US dollar. So number one is to first analyze the trend before you do anything, and we can see the market was initially trending up. It got to that high point and stopped going up, and since then it's just been trending sideways. So that's the most recent high point, and that's the most recent low point there. So let me just draw the horizontal line. So that's the high point there, and that's the lowest point there. So that's the first thing you always do, is to just determine the trend of the market, which we've done. And the market is currently trending sideways between those 2 white lines. But we can see that the first resistance is outside the sideways trend, and the pivot point is outside the sideways trend. So come just before 10:30, if the market is still trending sideways, then I'll be placing a pending buy order just above the first resistance and a pending sell order just below the pivot point. But like I said, for now, I'll just leave the market alone. I'm not going to place any pending orders, and then reassess just before 10:30. Okay, so that's my plan for today. Any questions? So there's a question here. Like I say, if you have any questions, do click the hand button or send your questions through the question box. Let's see, there's a question here. Let me just read it out. So there are many reports of high importance tomorrow. Do we still have to wait till when the last report of high importance is released, or will it make some sense to space it out? Okay, that's a very good question. Let me go to that economic calendar for tomorrow. Okay, let's have a look. It's Wednesday. Here we are. Okay, so obviously, so let's go through it one by one. Obviously, if you're trading currencies paired with the yen, starting with that, you'll be trading just before 15 minutes past midnight. Again, this is all GMT plus 1 time. So if you're trading currencies paired with the yen, obviously you'll be trading around 10 minutes to 1 a.m. tomorrow morning. But let's stick with the Euro US dollar now after that. So if you're trading the Euro US dollar, you can see that's the Euro German gross domestic product. And you actually have the Euro German consumer price index. So you can see that's also why it's important to check reports of medium importance. So although it says the Euro German consumer price index is marked it as medium, you will take that as high because it's the German consumer price index. But that's coming out at 8. You've got the Italian gross domestic product, but the Italian economy is not significant, so you can just ignore the Italian GDP. And then at 11, we have the Eurozone gross domestic product. So tomorrow, trading the Euro US dollar, what I'll do is wait till 11 a.m. and have my first attempt at 11 a.m. Because obviously the Eurozone gross domestic product is more important than all these other reports. So that will be the first report of high importance I will want to then to trade. So yes, I would skip the German GDP, or definitely skip the Italian GDP, and wait for the Eurozone GDP at 11 a.m. and then have my first attempt at 11 a.m. with the Euro US dollar. So I will certainly have my first attempt at 11 a.m. And then if I lose out on that first attempt at 11 a.m. and it ends up being a losing trade, I will then wait and not trade again till 2:30 when we have the US Consumer Price Index report at 2:30. So basically I'll have my first attempt at 11 a.m. When the Eurozone GDP comes out. So my first attempt will be just before 11. If that ends up being a successful trade and I made 60 pips, then I will stop trading. But if that trade just before 11 ends up being a losing trade and I lose 20 pips, then I will stop trading and wait till just before 2:30 and then have my second attempt just before 2:30 or around 2:30 when the US Consumer Price Index report comes out. So yes, that's what I'll do tomorrow in terms of spacing it out.